3 years ago, my husband took everything from me. The house we'd built together, the business we'd grown, the money I'd helped earn, the life I thought we were living. He left me with $45,000, a Honda with 200,000 miles, and a broken heart I didn't think would ever heal. Today, I'm standing in a ballroom wearing a dress that cost more than that Honda. My arm is linked with a man who looks at me like I'm the only person in the room. And across the crowd, I can see my ex-husband staring at me like he's seeing a ghost. Because, in a way, he is. The woman he destroyed 3 years ago? She's dead. And the woman standing here now? She's someone he never got to meet. My name is Caroline Mitchell. I'm 45 years old. And this is the story of how I lost everything, rebuilt myself, and discovered that the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's becoming someone they can never have again. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps others find these stories. But let me start at the beginning. Because you need to understand what he took, what he destroyed, and why seeing him tonight, looking old and tired and desperate, feels like the sweetest victory I never planned to achieve. 3 years ago, with a divorce, I was 42 years old when my marriage ended. 18 years, nearly 2 decades of my life devoted to a man I thought was my partner, my best friend, my future. David Mitchell, 45 years old, software consultant, handsome in that distinguished middle-aged way. The kind of man who wore expensive watches and had a firm handshake and made people trust him instantly. I trusted him completely, stupidly. We'd met in our 20s. I was a marketing coordinator at a tech startup. He was a consultant brought in to improve their systems. We bonded over terrible office coffee and long hours. Got married within a year. Built a life together. I helped him start his consulting business. Handled the operations while he handled sales. Worked 16-hour days in the early years. Went without vacations. Postponed having kids because the business needed us. After 10 years, we were successful. Making good money. Bought a beautiful house in the suburbs. $800,000. I decorated every room. Chose every piece of furniture. Made it home. I thought we were happy. I thought we were partners. I thought we were building something permanent. I was wrong. The affair started 2 years before I found out. With Amber, one of his clients. 28 years old, blonde, beautiful. Everything I wasn't anymore at 42. I found out the way everyone finds out. His phone, a text message. Can't wait for tonight. Love you. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to lie. Just looked at me with this cold expression I'd never seen before and said, "I'm not happy anymore, Caroline. I haven't been for years." Years, multiple, while I'd been working alongside him, sleeping beside him, believing we were fine. "We can fix this," I said, begged really. "Counseling, whatever you need, please." "I don't want to fix it. I want a divorce." That was it. No discussion, no attempts at reconciliation. He'd already decided, already chosen Amber, already planned his exit. The divorce was brutal, vicious, strategic. His lawyer, a shark named Richard Brennan, went after me like I was the one who'd cheated, like I was the one who'd destroyed our marriage. They painted me as unstable, emotionally dependent, a burden David had carried for years. They had witnesses. His friends, his business associates, testify that I was difficult, controlling, that the business was really David's vision, and I was just along for the ride. I couldn't afford a lawyer like Richard Brennan. I had a court-appointed attorney who tried his best, but was outmatched at every turn. The judge believed David, believed his lies, believed I was the problem. David got the house, he got the business because he convinced the court it was his idea. His connections, his work, my 18 years of operations and management, administrative support. He got most of our investments, most of our savings, the new Tesla we'd just bought. I got $45,000, the old Honda, and 30 days to move out of my home. When the judge read the settlement, David didn't even look at me, just signed the papers, shook his lawyer's hand, walked out with Amber waiting in the hallway. I sat in that courtroom and felt something inside me break. Not my heart that had broken months ago. Something deeper. My sense of justice. My belief that good things happen to good people. My faith that hard work and loyalty mattered. All of it shattered. I moved into a studio apartment in a bad part of town, 400 square feet, stained carpet, a bathroom with mold growing in the corners. But it was all I could afford. I spent the first month crying, not even functioning, just existing, eating ramen, wearing the same clothes, staring at walls. My friends, our friends, had mostly chosen David. He'd gotten there first with his narrative. The crazy ex-wife, the one who couldn't let go. They believed him because he was charming, and I was a mess. My family was across the country. I couldn't afford to visit, barely could afford to call. I was completely, utterly alone. At my lowest point, 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I sat on the floor of that disgusting apartment and thought, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? I was 42, broke, unemployed. David's business had been my job, and now it was gone, living in squalor with no prospects, no hope, no future. I could give up, sink into depression, let David's destruction of me be permanent. Or I could rebuild. The choice sounds obvious now, but in that moment, on that floor, it felt impossible. Rebuilding meant starting over. At 42, in a city where David had poisoned my reputation, with no money, no connections, no confidence. But the alternative was worse. The alternative was admitting David had won, had destroyed me completely, had taken everything, including my will to survive. And I couldn't let him have that. Couldn't let him take my future along with my past. So I made a decision, a small one, a stupid one maybe, but it was mine. I was going to survive, one day at a time, and then I was going to thrive. Not for revenge, not to show David, but because I refused to let his betrayal be the end of my story. It could be the middle, the low point, the dark chapter, but not the ending. I was going to write my own ending, and it was going to be better than anything David could have given me. That was the moment everything changed. Not when I became successful, not when I met Michael, not when I saw David again, but when I sat on that floor and decided I'm worth more than this. Year 1, survival. The first year was about staying alive. Literally, keeping my head above water, not drowning in depression or debt or despair. I found a job through a temp agency, administrative assistant at a mid-size marketing firm. Nothing glamorous, nothing close to what I'd been doing, but it paid $38,000 a year and included health insurance. I took it, showed up every day, did my work, went home to my shitty apartment, repeated. My boss was a woman named Patricia Chen, 50-something, sharp, efficient. She noticed things, like how I never took lunch, how I worked through breaks, how I volunteered for extra projects no one wanted. 3 months in, she called me into her office. Caroline, why are you here? I'm sorry? You're clearly overqualified for this position. Your resume shows extensive business operations experience. So why are you answering phones and filing papers? I could have lied, made something up, but I was too tired for lies. I went through a divorce, lost everything. This was the only job I could get. Patricia studied me. Do you want more? More what? More responsibility? More money? More challenge? Do you want to just survive here? Or do you want to build something? I thought about it. Really thought about it, because wanting more meant risking more, meant putting myself out there, meant believing I was capable of more than survival. I want to build something, I said. Good, then let's get started. Patricia became my mentor, my advocate, my first real ally in 3 years. She promoted me to operations coordinator, then operations manager, then director of business development. Each promotion came with more responsibility and more money, but it wasn't automatic. Patricia made me work for it, made me prove I was ready. "You want operations coordinator?" she said after I'd been there 4 months. "Then show me you understand our systems, map them out, find inefficiencies, propose solutions, prove you can see the big picture." I spent 2 weeks analyzing every process in the company, staying late, taking notes, interviewing staff, building flowcharts. I presented my findings to Patricia. 42 slides, 12 major inefficiencies, proposed solutions for each, cost-benefit analysis, implementation timeline. Patricia studied it, didn't speak for 10 minutes. I stood there, sweating, wondering if I'd overstepped. Finally, "This is excellent work. Better than excellent. When can you start implementing?" "You're giving me the coordinator position?" "I'm giving you coordinator with a catch. You implement these changes. If they work, you've earned it. If they don't, you're back to assistant. That's fair." "Good. Get started." I implemented the changes. Some worked immediately. Some needed tweaking. Some failed, and I had to pivot. But overall, efficiency improved 23% in 3 months. Patricia called me in. "You earned it. Operations coordinator, 20% raise. Don't fuck it up." 6 months later, she tested me again. "Coordinator isn't enough. You're capable of more. But I need to know you can handle people, not just processes. People are messy, complicated, harder to optimize than spreadsheets." "What do you need me to do?" "We have a problem employee. Jake in accounting, smart guy, terrible attitude, misses deadlines, creates conflict. HR wants to fire him. I think he's salvageable. Prove me right." I'd never managed people before, had never had to navigate workplace conflict. But I tried. I sat down with Jake. "Patricia asked me to talk to you. Says you're having trouble meeting deadlines." "Patricia doesn't know what she's talking about." "Maybe. Or maybe there's something going on I should know about." He looked at me, defensive, waiting for the lecture. "I'm not here to yell at you," I said. "I'm here to understand. What's making work difficult right now?" He hesitated. Then, "I'm going through a divorce. Can't focus, can't sleep, barely functioning." "Oh, oh. How long?" "6 months. She left me, took everything. I don't know how to be okay anymore." I understood that deeply, intimately. "I've been there," I said. "I'm going through it too. Divorced a year ago. Lost everything. Some days I can barely get out of bed." "Really? You seem so together." "I'm faking it most days, but I'm trying, and it's getting slightly easier, slowly." We talked for an hour about divorce, about grief, about surviving when you don't want to. I gave him Dr. Martinez's number, told him to take a week off, to start therapy, to take care of himself. "Your work will improve when you improve, but you can't optimize processes when your life is chaos. Fix you first, work second." Jake took the week, started therapy, came back different, still struggling but functional, hitting deadlines, causing less conflict. Patricia called me in. "What did you do with Jake?" "Talked to him, like a human. Found out what was wrong. Helped. He's been here 3 years. No one else bothered to ask what was wrong. They just assumed he was difficult." Maybe we're all difficult when we're hurting. Maybe we just need someone to notice. Operations manager, 30% raise. You've earned it. Another 6 months, another test. Manager isn't enough. You could run this whole department, but I need to know you can handle pressure, real pressure, not just operational challenges, business pressure. "What kind of pressure?" "We're losing our biggest client. 40% of our revenue. We have 3 months to replace it, or we're doing layoffs. Find me new clients, save jobs, Prove you can lead under fire. 3 months. 40% revenue, no pressure. I worked 16-hour days, cold called prospects, pitched services, leveraged every contact I had, begged Patricia's existing clients for referrals. I landed 6 new clients, not as big as the one we lost, but together they covered 35% of the gap. Patricia had to let 2 people go, but only 2, not 20. You saved 18 jobs, including yours, Director of Business Development, 50% raise, you've earned it. By the end of year 1, I was making 65,000. Not amazing, but compared to where I'd started, miraculous. More than money, Patricia gave me confidence, taught me I was capable, valuable, worth investing in. You know why I kept promoting you? She asked over lunch one day. Because I worked hard? Lots of people work hard. I promoted you because you were coachable. You took feedback. You admitted when you didn't know something. You tried, failed, learned, and tried again. That's rare. Most people protect their ego instead of building their skills. David always made me feel stupid when I didn't know something. David was an idiot. You're brilliant. You just needed someone to see it, to prove it to you. Thank you for everything. I wouldn't have survived without you. You would have, but maybe not as well, and definitely not as fast. You're going to be okay, Caroline, better than okay. You're going to be extraordinary. I cried. Right there in the restaurant. Happy tears, grateful tears, because Patricia saw me, really saw me, saw past the broken, desperate woman who'd shown up a year ago, saw the potential, the capability, the worth, and helped me see it too. I started therapy, found a counselor who specialized in divorce recovery, Dr. Sarah Martinez. She helped me process the trauma, the betrayal, the loss. You're grieving, she said. Not just the marriage, but who you thought you were, who you thought he was, the future you'd imagined. That's all gone, and you have to mourn it before you can move past it. So I mourned. Properly, fully. I let myself be angry, be sad, be fucking furious at David for what he'd done. Our first few sessions were just me crying, ugly crying, the kind where you can't breathe, where snot runs and your face turns red and you sound like a wounded animal. Dr. Martinez would sit there, patient, handing me tissues, waiting for me to be able to speak. I don't understand, I'd sob. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? You didn't do anything wrong, and you were enough. This isn't about you. It's about him, about choices he made, lies he told, his inability to be satisfied. But there must be something, some way I failed, some reason he chose her over me. Caroline, listen to me carefully. Amber isn't better than you. She's younger, that's all. She represents something to David, a fantasy, a second chance at youth. But you can't compete with fantasy. No real person can. So what do? You stop trying to understand his choices and start focusing on yours. You can't control what David did, but you can control what you do next. Week by week, session by session, I started to rebuild. Not just my life, my sense of self, my belief that I had value beyond being someone's wife. Dr. Martinez gave me homework, exercises designed to rebuild self-worth. Make a list of 10 things you're good at, not things David praised you for, things you know you're good at. I struggled with that list, realized I'd spent 18 years defining myself through David's eyes. I didn't know who I was without his approval, but I made the list. Operations management, problem solving, cooking, decorating, making people feel comfortable, listening, organization, time management, writing, analysis, 10 things, small things, but mine, true regardless of David's opinion. Now, Dr. Martinez said, I want you to do one thing every week that proves you're good at one of those things. Make a complicated recipe. Organize a friend's closet. Write something just for yourself. Whatever. Just prove to yourself you're capable. I did the homework. every week, proving to myself I was more than David's discarded wife. I was a person with skills, with value, with worth. 3 months into therapy, Dr. Martinez asked a hard question. Do you want David back? What? No. Are you sure? Because a lot of your pain seems to come from feeling rejected, from wanting him to realize he made a mistake, from hoping he'll come back apologizing. I sat with that, really sat with it, because she was right. Part of me did want that, wanted David to realize, to apologize, to beg for me back so I could have the satisfaction of saying no. I don't want him back, I said slowly, but I want vindication. I want him to know he was wrong, that I wasn't the problem, that he fucked up. Why do you need his validation? Because because if he admits he was wrong, then I'm right. Then I'm valuable. Then your worth is still dependent on his opinion, just in the opposite direction. Fuck, she was right. Your worth can't come from David, not from his praise when you are married, and not from his remorse now that you're divorced. Your worth has to come from you, from knowing deeply, truly knowing that you're valuable regardless of what any man thinks. That was the turning point, when I stopped wanting David's apology and started building my own certainty. 6 months into therapy, I was a different person. Not healed completely, but functioning, forward moving, capable. I'm proud of you, Dr. Martinez said. When you first came here, you could barely speak. You were broken. And now look at you, working, planning, building. I still have bad days. Everyone has bad days, but you're having more good days than bad now. That's progress. A year into therapy, I graduated. Not because I was fixed, but because I had the tools to manage on my own. You'll have setbacks, Dr. Martinez warned. Moments when the pain comes back, when you doubt yourself, when David does something that triggers you. That's normal. But now you know how to handle it. You know you can survive it. She was right. I did have setbacks, but I survived them, alone, with the tools she'd given me, and slowly. So slowly I barely noticed I started to heal, and slowly, so slowly, I barely noticed I started to heal. I joined a gym, not to lose weight or look better, but because I needed an outlet for all the anger I was carrying. I took kickboxing classes, imagined David's face on the punching bag, hit it until my knuckles bled. The instructor, a woman named Rosa, pulled me aside after a particularly violent session. Who are you fighting? My ex-husband. She nodded. Good, use it, channel it, but eventually you'll need to fight for yourself instead of against him. She was right, but I wasn't there yet. Year one was survival, keeping my head above water, building the foundation for something more. But it was also transformation, quiet transformation, the kind that happens when you're not looking, when you're too busy surviving to notice you're also growing. By the time year one ended, I was a different person. Not better yet, not thriving yet, but alive, functioning, moving forward. And that was enough, for now. Year two, the sabotage year two started with hope. I was settling into my new life, my new job, my new self. Then David tried to destroy me again. It started small. A former client of ours, mine and David's from the consulting business, reached out, said they were looking for operations consulting, had heard I was available. It was perfect, a foot back into the industry I knew, a chance to rebuild my professional reputation. They offered me a 6-month contract, $30,000, more than I was making at Patricia's firm. I was thrilled, grateful, hopeful. I gave my notice to Patricia. She understood. You're ready for this. Go show them what you can do. I started the contract. 2 weeks in, the client called a meeting. Caroline, we're terminating the contract. What? Why? Is there a problem with my work? We've received concerning information about your professional conduct, allegations of financial mismanagement, unethical behavior. We can't risk associating with someone with your history. I was stunned. What allegations? From who? We can't disclose that, but they came from a credible source. The credible source was David. I knew it immediately. He'd reached out to our former clients, poisoned them against me, made sure I couldn't rebuild in our industry. I tried to fight it, demanded proof, threatened legal action, but the client had already decided. Contract terminated, no payout, my reputation damaged further. I went back to Patricia, humiliated, defeated. He's sabotaging you, she said bluntly. How do you know? Because powerful men don't like seeing the women they destroyed succeed. It threatens their narrative. David told everyone you were the problem. If you're successful without him, that story falls apart. So what do? You fight back, but smartly, strategically. You document everything, build your own reputation. Prove him wrong not by confronting him, but by succeeding despite him. She was right, but it was hard, because David kept sabotaging. A month later, I applied for a senior position at another marketing firm, made it to the final round. They called to offer me the job, then called back 2 days later to rescind it. We've reconsidered. We don't think you're the right fit. David, again, I was sure of it. 3 months after that, I started freelancing, built a small client base, was finally making decent money. Then, one client after another suddenly canceled. Same vague reasons, same uncomfortable conversations. I was being blackballed, systematically, professionally destroyed, and there was nothing I could do about it. I called David, first time in over a year, shaking with rage. Are you doing this? Are you sabotaging my work? Caroline, I have no idea what you're talking about. Clients are canceling, jobs are disappearing, and it all leads back to you. That sounds like paranoia. Maybe you should talk to your therapist. David, stop, please. I'm not trying to compete with you. I'm just trying to survive. Then maybe you should try harder. Not everything is about you, Caroline. The world doesn't revolve around your victim complex. He hung up. I sat there, shaking, furious, helpless. And then I thought, fuck this, fuck him. I'm not playing his game anymore. I went to Patricia. I need advice. David is sabotaging me. I can prove it, sort of. What do I do? You go around him. Build a reputation he can't touch. Work in spaces he doesn't control. Create success he can't sabotage. How? Start your own thing, on your terms, in your way. Be so good he can't ignore you, and so separate he can't reach you. So that's what I did. I started a consulting practice, small, focused on startups and small businesses clients David wouldn't care about, people who'd never heard of him. I worked 18-hour days, built case studies, generated referrals, proved my worth through results, not reputation. It was slow, exhausting, terrifying, but it worked. By the end of year 2, I had 15 clients. I was making $90,000 a year. I'd moved into a 2-bedroom townhouse. Nothing compared to the house David took, but mine, earned, untouchable. I was rebuilding, despite David, despite the sabotage, despite everything. And something else was happening, something I didn't expect. I was becoming confident, really confident, not the fake confidence I'd performed during my marriage, but real, earned, bone-deep confidence, because I'd survived David trying to destroy me twice, and I was still standing. That's power, the kind you can't fake, the kind people notice. Year 2, Michael Carter entered my life in month 9 of year 2 at a business networking event, one of those awkward mixer things with name tags and cheap wine. I almost didn't go. I was tired, burned out from fighting David's sabotage, but Patricia insisted. You need to expand your network, show your face, remind people you exist. So I went, wore a professional dress I'd bought secondhand, practiced my elevator pitch, forced a smile. Michael approached me at the buffet table. Caroline Harper? Harper was my maiden name. I'd taken it back after the divorce, but I didn't recognize him at first. Yes? Michael Carter? We met years ago, through David Mitchell. College friends? And then I remembered. Michael. David's friend from their undergrad days. Sweet guy. Quiet. Always nice to me at the few social events where they'd overlapped. Oh my God, Michael, hi. I didn't recognize you. It's been a while. How are you? How's David? We're divorced 3 years now. His face changed. Surprise. Then something else, something like relief? I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's fine. Well, it's not fine. But it's over. I'm rebuilding. We talked for an hour. He was fascinated by my consulting practice, asked intelligent questions, seemed genuinely interested, not in David, in me. At the end of the night, he handed me his business card. I run a tech startup. We need operations consulting. Would you be interested in a contract? I looked at the card. Michael Carter, CEO. A company I'd never heard of, but that had impressive credentials listed on the back. Are you offering this because you feel sorry for me? No, I'm offering because I need help and you're good at what you do. I've seen your work. David used to talk about it before the divorce. David talked about my work? All the time. He knew the business ran better because of you, even if he didn't always say it to your face. That surprised me, touched me even, that somewhere, in some version of our marriage, David had acknowledged my contributions. I'd love to work with you, I said. That contract became a 6-month project, then a year-long retainer. Michael's startup grew rapidly. My consulting helped streamline operations. We worked well together. But something else was growing too, something neither of us acknowledged at first. Attraction, connection, understanding. Michael was single, divorced 5 years ago, no kids, focused on building his business. But lonely, I think, the same way I was lonely. 6 months into working together, we had dinner. Not a business dinner, a real dinner. Italian restaurant, wine, candlelight, conversation that wasn't about work. Can I ask you something? Michael said. About David? Sure. Did he ever tell you I had feelings for you? I choked on my wine. What? Years ago, when you two first got married, I told David I thought you were amazing, that he was lucky. He got weird, territorial, told me to back off. We didn't talk for a year after that. I had no idea. Of course not, because David controlled everything, including who got to see you as anything other than his wife. But you reconnected. Yeah, eventually. But it was never the same. And I always wondered what would have happened if I'd met you first. Michael, I'm not saying this to make things awkward or to pressure you. I just wanted you to know that back then I saw you, really saw you, and now, working with you, getting to know the woman you've become, I see you even more clearly. I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to process this. A man, a good man, saying he saw me, valued me, found me interesting, after years of David making me feel invisible, inadequate, replaceable. I need to take this slow, I said. I'm not ready for anything serious. I'm barely holding my life together. I can do slow as you need. So we dated, cautiously, carefully, dinner once a week, movies, walks, conversations that went deep, getting to know each other, not as David's ex-wife and David's old friend, but as two people building something new. It was nice, comfortable, easy in a way my marriage to David never had been. And slowly, so slowly I barely noticed, I started to fall in love. Real love. The kind based on respect and admiration and genuine connection. Not the desperate, codependent love I'd had with David, but something healthier, stronger, better. By the end of year 2, Michael and I were together. Not officially, not publicly, but together, building something. And I was happy, really, genuinely happy for the first time in years. Year 3, Amber's call. Year 3 started with a phone call I never expected. My phone rang, unknown number. I usually ignored those, but something made me answer. Hello, Caroline, it's Amber. Amber, David's wife, the woman he'd left me for, the one I'd spent 2 years hating with every fiber of my being. What do you want? I need to talk to you in person. It's important. I have nothing to say to you. Please, this is about David, about what he did to both of us. Both of us. What the hell did that mean? Fine, coffee tomorrow. Public place. We met at a Starbucks. Neutral territory. I got there early. Wanted the advantage of being settled when she arrived. Amber walked in, looking nothing like I'd imagined. I'd pictured her as she was 3 years ago. Young, beautiful, victorious. But the woman who sat across from me was tired. Thinner, older than her years, wearing expensive clothes, but they hung on her like a costume. Thank you for meeting me, she said. What do you want, Amber? I want to help you destroy David. I laughed. Actually laughed. Why would I believe you? Because he did to me what he did to you. Lied, cheated, manipulated, and I'm done. I want out, but I want him to pay. He cheated on you? Among other things, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I found something. Proof that David hid assets during your divorce, committed fraud, lied to the court. I went very still. What kind of proof? She pulled out a folder, documents, bank statements, emails, offshore account records. David has been hiding money for years. Started before your divorce, continued after. He lied about the business's value, hid investments, transferred assets to shell companies. You should have gotten half of this legally. He stole it. I flipped through the documents. My hands were shaking because if this was real, why are you showing me this? Because I'm divorcing him, and I want to take him for everything, but alone, I don't have enough leverage. His lawyers will fight me, claim these accounts don't exist or aren't relevant. But if you join me, if we both sue him, we have a case, a strong one. What's in it for you? We split what we recover, 50-50, fair. Fair? You stole my husband, destroyed my marriage, and now you want me to help you. I didn't steal your husband, Caroline. He left. He chose to leave. And I'm sorry for my part in that. But he lied to me too. Told me you were separated, that the marriage was over, that you'd agreed to an amicable divorce. I didn't know the truth until it was too late. Do you expect me to forgive you? No, I expect you to use me, because I have what you need. Proof that David screwed you over, and you have what I need. Legal standing to sue. 2 victims are more powerful than one. I hated that she made sense. Hated that I was considering this. Hated that my enemy was offering me something I'd wanted for 3 years. Justice. I need to think about it. Think fast. I'm filing in 2 weeks, with or without you. She left. I sat there with the folder, staring at proof of David's fraud. Proof that I'd been right, that he'd stolen from me, that the judge had believed his lies. I could use this, sue David, get back what he took, finally have vindication. But it would mean working with Amber, aligning with the woman I'd spent years hating, reopening wounds I'd tried to heal. I called Michael that night. Amber contacted me. She wants to sue David together, has proof he hid assets during the divorce. Do you trust her? No, but I trust the documents. I had a lawyer friend look at them. They're real. Then what's the question? Is it worth it, reopening everything, fighting David again? Or do I just let it go and keep moving forward? Michael was quiet for a long time. What do you want, Caroline? Not what's smart, not what's fair. What do you want? I thought about it, really thought about it, and I realized I didn't want David's money. I'd already rebuilt without it. I didn't need vindication. I'd already proven I could survive and thrive without him. What I wanted was for David to face consequences, real consequences, for his lies, his fraud, his cruelty, and Amber was offering me that chance. I want him to pay. Then make him pay. I called Amber the next morning. I'm in. The lawsuit filing. The lawsuit was satisfying in a way I didn't expect, not because of the money, but because for the first time I was fighting back, actively, aggressively. Amber and I hired a lawyer together, a woman named Victoria Martinez, specialist in fraud and asset recovery. Expensive, but we pooled our resources. Victoria was ruthless, efficient. She looked at Amber's documents and smiled. This is good, really good. He's going to have a very bad day when this hits. We served David the lawsuit at his office, sent a process server to deliver it while he was in a meeting. Public, humiliating, intentional. He called Amber that night, screaming, threatening. How could you do this after everything I've given you? She recorded the call, sent it to Victoria, more evidence of his character. He called me too. I didn't answer, sent it to voicemail, let him leave his rage on a recording I'd never listened to. The lawsuit took 6 months. Discovery, depositions. David's lawyers fought hard, but Victoria fought harder. And the evidence was damning. Offshore accounts David couldn't explain. Transfers to shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Emails where he discussed hiding assets from that bitch Caroline. In court, David looked small, desperate, caught. His lawyers tried to spin it. Misunderstanding, tax planning, not relevant to the divorce settlement. But the judge wasn't buying it. Mr. Mitchell, you committed fraud against your ex-wife, against this court, against the legal system. I'm not only ruling in favor of the plaintiffs, I'm referring this case to the district attorney for potential criminal charges. David's face went white. The settlement? $450,000 split between Amber and me, $225,000 each. Not enough to make up for what he took, but enough to matter. Enough to prove I'd been right all along. Amber disappeared after the settlement, took her money, and left town. I heard she moved to California, started over somewhere David couldn't find her. I didn't blame her. I understood the need to run, to rebuild where no one knows your history. But I stayed, because this was my city now. My life, my space. And I'd earned the right to exist in it without hiding. Year 3, the gala. The gala happened 3 months after the lawsuit settled. A charity event for underprivileged youth. Michael's company was sponsoring. He'd invited me as his date. I almost said no. These events always made me uncomfortable. Too many rich people, too much small talk, too much pretending. But Michael insisted. Come with me, it'll be fun. Besides, I want to show you off, So I bought a dress. A real dress, not secondhand, not on sale. A beautiful emerald green evening gown that cost more than my first month's rent in that shitty studio apartment. I got my hair done, makeup, the works, not to impress anyone, but because I wanted to, because I could, because for the first time in years, I felt like I deserved to feel beautiful. Michael picked me up at 7. When I opened the door, his face did something I'll never forget. He stared, speechless, then smiled. Caroline, you look too much? Perfect. You look perfect. We arrived at the gala. Ballroom, crystal chandeliers, string quartet, waiters with champagne, the kind of event I used to attend with David back when I felt like an accessory, a +1. Mrs. Mitchell instead of Caroline. But tonight I was myself. Caroline Harper, successful consultant, Michael's partner, a woman who'd rebuilt herself from nothing. We mingled. Michael introduced me to his business contacts. I held my own in conversations, impressed people with my insights, felt confident, capable, present, and then I saw him. David. Across the ballroom, older than I remembered, grayer, heavier, wearing an expensive suit, but he looked tired in it, diminished. Next to him was someone I didn't recognize. Not Amber, younger, another blonde, another replacement. Michael noticed me tense. Is that him? Yeah. Do you want to leave? No, I want to stay. I want him to see me. Okay. Then let's make sure he sees you happy. We walked to the bar, Michael's hand on the small of my back, protective, supportive. We got drinks, laughed at something one of his colleagues said, acted like David's presence didn't matter. But I could feel David watching, staring, trying to figure out if it was really me, because I'd changed, physically, dramatically. I'd lost weight, the healthy way through kickboxing and therapy, and finally taking care of myself. My hair was different, longer, styled. My clothes were elegant instead of practical. My posture was different, confident instead of apologetic. I looked like a different person, because I was a different person. David kept staring. Finally, he started walking over. My stomach dropped. Caroline? I turned, looked at him, smiled politely, the way you smile at an acquaintance you don't particularly like. David, hello. He looked shocked, like he couldn't believe I was being civil, like he'd expected me to make a scene. I didn't know you'd be here. You look different. Thank you. How have you been? Very well. And you? He glanced at Michael, recognition dawning. Mike, is that you? Michael nodded. Hey, David, long time. What are you? Are you two together? Yes, I said simply. Michael and I have been seeing each other for over a year. David's face did something complicated. Shock, betrayal, anger. Mike, what the fuck? She's my ex-wife. And you're my ex-friend. We're even. You knew I... David stopped, looked at me. You did this to get back at me. Actually, I did this because I fell in love with a good man who treats me well. Your involvement in our story ended 3 years ago. Caroline, can we talk? Privately? There's nothing to talk about. Please, 5 minutes. Michael squeezed my hand. I'll be right here if you need me. I nodded, followed David to a quiet alcove, curious, nervous, but also strangely calm. You look amazing, David said. I barely recognized you. Thank you. And Mike, really? Really. He's using you, to get back at me for what happened between us in college. What happened in college? He was jealous of us, of you. He always wanted you. And now he has you, and he's rubbing it in my face. Or maybe he just likes me, and respects me, and treats me well. Things you never did. That's not fair. I treated you well. I gave you everything. You took everything, David, literally. Everything I'd helped build. And then you tried to destroy me again when I started to rebuild. Don't pretend you were good to me. We both know the truth. I made mistakes, I know that now, but Caroline, seeing you tonight, I realize I made the biggest mistake of my life. Leaving you. I should never have... Stop. What? Stop. Whatever you're about to say, whatever apology or confession or plea you've been rehearsing, stop. I don't want to hear it. Caroline, do you know what the last 3 years have been like after you took everything? I lived in a studio apartment with mold in the bathroom. I ate ramen for dinner most nights. I cried myself to sleep, wondering what I'd done wrong, what I could have done differently, why I wasn't enough. You were enough. I was the one who... Let me finish. I blamed myself for years for not being pretty enough, young enough, interesting enough, for not being Amber. Amber was a mistake. Amber was a symptom of something broken in you, something that needed to destroy me to feel powerful. That's not true. Isn't it? You didn't just leave me, David. You annihilated me. Took the house, the business, the money, our friends, my reputation. You could have been fair, could have split things evenly, but you wanted to win, to destroy, to prove I meant nothing. I was angry. You were cruel. There's a difference. And even after the divorce, you couldn't leave me alone. You sabotaged my work, poisoned my clients, tried to make sure I'd never succeed without you. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And you know what? It didn't work. I survived anyway. Built a better life than I had with you. Found a better partner than you ever were. Became a better person than I was when I was trying to make you happy. Caroline, I'm sorry. I truly am. I was wrong. About everything. And seeing you tonight, I realize I never stopped loving you. That's the problem, David. You think love is enough, but it's not. Love without respect is nothing. Love without partnership is nothing. Love without basic human decency is nothing. And you never respected me, never saw me as a partner, never treated me with decency. I can change. I have changed. Let me prove it. No. What? No, I'm not interested in your apologies or your regrets or your promises to change. I'm interested in my life, my happiness, my future, none of which include you. You're with Mike to hurt me. I'm with Michael because he's kind and smart and treats me like an equal. Everything you never did. And if it hurts you that I'm happy with someone else, good. Feel free to sit with that, to learn from that, to become a better person because of that, but do it somewhere else because I'm done with you. I turned to walk away. Caroline, wait. I stopped, looked back. 3 years ago, you took everything from me, my home, my money, my dignity. At the time, I thought you destroyed me, that I'd never recover, that my life was over. And now? Now I realize you did me a favor, because in taking everything, you forced me to build something better, something mine, something you could never touch. And now, watching you stand there looking old and tired and desperate, I realize I won, not because I destroyed you, but because I saved myself. I walked away, back to Michael, back to my life, back to the future I'd built without David in it. Behind me, David stood alone in that alcove, and for the first time in 3 years, I didn't care how he felt, because I was free. Finally, completely beautifully free. Epilogue, 6 months later. 6 months after the gala, Michael proposed on a beach in Maui, sunset, ring, the whole romantic thing. I said yes, not because I needed a man to complete me, but because I wanted to share my life with someone who valued me. But let me tell you about those 6 months, because they weren't all smooth sailing. Even happy endings require work. After the gala confrontation, David spiraled. I heard about it through the grapevine, through mutual acquaintances who'd finally realized he'd lied about me, through business contacts who saw him falling apart in real time. He started drinking, heavily, showed up to client meetings smelling like scotch, lost 2 major contracts. His newest girlfriend, the blonde from the gala, left him, took the engagement ring he'd bought her and sold it on eBay, posted about it publicly, tagged him. His business was failing. The consulting practice he'd stolen from me. Turns out I'd been the operational genius all along, without me managing logistics, scheduling, client relationships, quality control. The whole thing fell apart. He tried to hire replacements, went through 4 operations managers in 6 months. None of them could handle his micromanaging, his temper, his refusal to listen to anyone who knew better than him. Within a year of the lawsuit settlement, his business was down 60%. He had to lay off staff, downsize his office, sell the Tesla. Eventually, sell the house. Our house, the one he'd fought so hard to keep. I didn't celebrate his downfall, didn't gloat, didn't even pay much attention, honestly, because I was too busy building my own life. Michael and I got serious. Really serious. We talked about the future, about what we wanted, about whether we were compatible long term. We had hard conversations about kids. Neither of us wanted them, which was a relief. About money. We agreed on separate accounts and one joint account for shared expenses. About family. His parents loved me, which helped. About past relationships. We were both carrying baggage and needed to be honest about it. I'm scared, I told him one night, 6 months into our relationship, lying in bed, vulnerable. I'm scared I'll fuck this up, or you'll turn out to be like David, or I'll never fully trust anyone again. I'm scared too, Michael admitted. Scared I'll disappoint you. Scared you'll realize you only like me because I'm not David. Scared this is rebound and not real. Is it real for you? Yeah, it's real. You're the first person in 5 years I've let myself actually care about, and that's terrifying. Same. We went to couples counseling, proactively, not because we had problems, but because we wanted to avoid them. Dr. Martinez, the same therapist who'd helped me through my divorce recovery, helped us navigate the relationship. You're both carrying trauma, she said, from your ex spouses, from failed marriages, from broken trust. That trauma doesn't disappear just because you found someone new. You have to actively work to not project it onto each other. We did the work. Weekly sessions, homework assignments, practicing vulnerability, practicing trust, practicing communication. It wasn't always easy. I had moments where I'd panic, where I'd see Michael texting someone and immediately assume affair, where I'd find a receipt for flowers and convince myself they were for another woman, where my trauma brain screamed, "He's just like David, run!" But Michael was patient, showed me his phone without me asking, explained the receipts, flowers for his mother, text to his sister, dinner with his business partner, never got defensive, never made me feel crazy for asking. "I'm not David," he'd say calmly, "but I understand why you're scared. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." And slowly, so slowly, I started to believe him. We moved in together after a year. Michael's townhouse, bigger than my place. We negotiated everything: furniture, decorating, how to split bills, how to handle disagreements, who did what chores. It was so different from my marriage to David, where I'd done everything and he'd criticized, where I'd made myself smaller so he could be bigger. With Michael, everything was discussed, negotiated, fair. We were partners, actual partners. I kept my consulting business, he kept his startup. We supported each other's work without competing, celebrated each other's victories, commiserated over challenges. When I landed a major client, Michael took me to dinner. Expensive wine. Celebrated like it was his victory, too. When his startup got Series A funding, I threw him a surprise party, invited all his colleagues, made a speech about how proud I was. We built a life together, equally, fairly, and it was good. Really, genuinely good. So when he proposed on that beach in Maui on our vacation celebrating his funding and my biggest contract yet, I said yes without hesitation. Not because I needed him, but because I wanted him. Wanted this partnership, this equal, respectful, loving relationship. We got married 6 months after that. Small ceremony, close friends. Patricia was there. Victoria. My few remaining family members. People who'd supported me through the rebuild. The ceremony was outdoors, garden venue, string lights, intimate. Nothing like my first wedding with David. That had been big, showy, expensive, designed to impress. This was designed for us, simple, beautiful, meaningful. When I walked down the aisle, my brother walking me, not being given away, I cried. Not sad tears, not scared tears, happy tears, because I was choosing this, choosing Michael, choosing a future I'd built myself. My vows were honest, vulnerable, real. Michael, 3 years ago, I lost everything. I thought my life was over, that I'd never trust anyone again, never love again. never be happy again. And then you showed up, not with promises or grand gestures, but with patience, with respect, with genuine partnership. You showed me that love isn't about possession. It's about support. It's about seeing someone fully and choosing them anyway. You see me, all of me, the broken parts and the strong parts, and you love all of it. So I'm choosing you today and every day after, not because I need you, but because I want you, because you're my partner, my equal, my love. I was crying by the end. Michael was crying. Half the guests were crying. His vows were equally emotional about seeing me rebuild, about admiring my strength, about feeling lucky every day that I chose him. We kissed. Everyone cheered. And I thought, this is what marriage should be, what it always should have been. David wasn't invited, obviously. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he got divorced again. His third marriage in 4 years, always chasing something, never finding it. And I felt nothing. Not pity, not satisfaction, just indifference. He was irrelevant to my story now. The reception was perfect, small, intimate. People I actually cared about. We danced, laughed, celebrated not just our marriage, but everything that had led to it. Patricia gave a toast. I met Caroline 3 years ago when she was at her lowest, broken, defeated, barely surviving. I watched her rebuild herself piece by piece, day by day, choice by choice. And now, seeing her here successful, confident, genuinely happy, I'm reminded that we're not defined by what happens to us. We're defined by what we do next. Caroline, you chose to rebuild, to fight, to become someone extraordinary. And Michael, you're lucky to have found someone who knows her own worth. Take care of her, though I suspect she doesn't need taking care of. She's pretty good at that herself. Everyone laughed, raised their glasses. To Caroline and Michael, we spent our honeymoon in Europe. 3 weeks. Italy, France, Spain. Places I'd always wanted to visit, but never could with David. He'd always said we were too busy, too broke, maybe later. With Michael, there was no maybe later. We made time, made it a priority, chose adventure and experience over work and obligation. We stood on the Amalfi Coast watching sunset, ate pasta in small Roman trattorias, explored Parisian museums, drank wine in Barcelona, and I felt free, completely, utterly free, not just from David, but from the woman I'd been with him, the small, apologetic, constantly accommodating version of myself. I was bigger now, fuller, more myself than I'd ever been. "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked one night. We were in our hotel room in Barcelona, balcony overlooking the city, wine, comfortable silence. How different everything is from 3 years ago, from my marriage to David, from who I used to be. Do you miss it? Any of it? No, not even a little, which surprised me. I thought I'd miss the house, or the business, or the life we'd built. But I don't, because none of it was really mine. It was David's. I just lived in it. And now? Now everything is mine, my career, my choices, my happiness. Even this marriage, it's ours. Equal, shared, not his, with me as an accessory. I like the new you. I like her too. We came back from honeymoon rested, happy, ready to tackle life as a married couple. I expanded my business, hired 2 associates like I'd planned, took on bigger clients, increased my rates, became known in my industry as someone who gets results. Michael's startup continued growing, Series B funding, then Series C. The company went from 15 employees to 100. He was building something real, something lasting. We bought a house together, smaller than the one David took, but ours. Equal contributions, equal decisions. We decorated together, chose furniture together, made it a home for both of us. Not his house where I lived, not my house where he visited. Our house. Equal. And it was better. So much better than anything I'd had with David, because partnership, real partnership, is better than possession, better than control, better than one person dominating and the other accommodating. About a year into our marriage, David tried to contact me. Email, subject line, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. "Caroline, I know you don't want to hear from me, and you have every right to ignore this, but I needed to say something, needed you to know. I fucked up. Massively. Completely. Irreversibly. The last 3 years have been hell. Since the divorce, since the lawsuit, since the gala. My business is failing. My relationships keep falling apart. I'm alone, broke, miserable. And I finally understand why. It wasn't you. It was never you. You weren't the problem in our marriage. I was. You were an amazing partner. You built our business, managed our home, supported my career, and I treated you like shit. Took you for granted, cheated, lied, destroyed you in divorce court. I told myself I had reasons, that you weren't enough, that Amber was better, that I deserved more. But the truth is, you were more than enough. I was the one who wasn't enough, wasn't mature enough, self-aware enough, good enough. And now, watching you thrive with Michael, seeing you happy, I realize what I lost. Not just a wife, but my best friend, my partner, the person who actually knew me and loved me anyway. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I'm not asking for it. I just wanted you to know. You were right about everything, and I was wrong. I hope you're happy. I hope Michael treats you the way I should have. I hope you never waste another thought on me. Congratulations on your marriage, your success, your life. You won. And I lost, David. I read it twice. Felt nothing. Not vindication, not satisfaction, just mild pity for a man who destroyed something good and only realized it when it was too late. I showed Michael. What do you think? I think he's finally figured out what an idiot he was. Too late, but at least he figured it out. Should I respond? Do you want to? I thought about it. Did I want to engage, to acknowledge his apology, to give him closure? No, I didn't, because responding would invite more contact, more apologies, more attempts to assuage his guilt, using my forgiveness. And I didn't owe him that, didn't owe him anything. So I deleted the email, blocked his email address, and moved on with my life. Because that's the thing about healing. At some point, you stop caring about the person who hurt you. Stop thinking about them. Stop giving them space in your head. They become irrelevant, a footnote, a cautionary tale you tell at parties. David became that for me, not a villain I was fighting, just a mistake I'd learned from. And learning from that mistake made me better, stronger, wiser, more careful about who I trusted, more protective of my peace, more selective about who I let into my life. 2 years into my marriage with Michael, we celebrated our anniversary, dinner at the restaurant where we'd had our first real date, Italian place, wine, candlelight. 2 years, Michael said. Feels like longer in a good way. It does, like you've always been here. Any regrets? About us? No. About David? Also no. He gave me something valuable even if he didn't mean to. What's that? A before and after. A clear dividing line between the woman who let herself be diminished and the woman who demanded better. I needed that divorce, needed that devastation, needed to hit rock bottom so I could rebuild properly. That's a generous way to look at it. It's the only way. Otherwise, I spent 18 years in a marriage that meant nothing. This way, those 18 years were training, preparation, a necessary chapter before the good part. And this is the good part. This is the best part. We clinked glasses, smiled at each other, comfortable, easy, happy, and I realized I'd won. Not because David lost, but because I'd built something better than anything he could have given me. 3 years ago, David took everything from me: my home, my money, my dignity, my sense of self. At the time, I thought he'd destroyed me, that I'd never recover, that my life was over. But sitting in that restaurant with Michael, celebrating 2 years of marriage and 5 years of rebuilding, I realized the truth. David didn't destroy me. He freed me, forced me to discover who I was without him, forced me to build a life based on my own merit instead of his approval. And that life, that version of myself, is worth more than any house, any business, any settlement, because I like who I am now, respect who I am, admire who I am. I'm not perfect. I still have bad days, still struggle with trust sometimes, still get triggered by things that remind me of the divorce, but I'm whole, complete, not because someone else completed me, but because I completed myself. David took everything. And in taking everything, he gave me the chance to build something better, something mine, something real, something lasting. And for that, in the strangest, most twisted way, I'm almost grateful, not to him, but to the universe, to fate, to whatever force brought me to that low point so I could rise from it, because the woman I am now would never have existed without that devastation. She's a phoenix, built from ashes, stronger for having burned, and she's free, finally, completely beautifully free. Sometimes people ask me for advice. Women going through divorces, women who've been betrayed, women who've lost everything and don't know how to rebuild. And I tell them the same thing every time. You will survive this. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know it feels like dying, like the end of everything. But it's not. It's the beginning, the hard, painful, devastating beginning of something better. You will rebuild slowly. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one small victory at a time, you will discover you're stronger than you knew, more capable, more resilient, more valuable. You will build a life that's yours, not his, not shared, yours, based on your choices, your values, your worth. And one day, maybe not soon, but eventually, you'll look back at the person who destroyed you and feel nothing, not hate, not love, just indifference, because they'll be irrelevant, a footnote in your story. The villain you defeated by refusing to stay defeated. So survive, rebuild, thrive, become the woman you were always meant to be. And trust me, she's worth meeting. That's what I learned. That's what David's betrayal taught me. That's what the last 5 years proved. You can lose everything and still win, because winning isn't about what you have. It's about who you become. And the woman I became, she's someone I'd choose, someone I'd admire, someone I'd befriend. She's strong, independent, confident, kind, successful, happy. She's me, the real me, the me that existed underneath 18 years of trying to make David happy. And she's finally completely free. David took everything from me, and in doing so, he gave me everything that mattered: myself.